Good morning, everybody. Welcome to drboycetv.com and the Black Love Channel. Today, I got up this morning and I rolled over, and something amazing happened to me today. You won't believe it. I rolled over and I looked to my left, and laying next to me was the most beautiful Black woman on earth, by the name of Dr. Alicia Watkins. How you doing today, babe?
You are so kind. Aren't
Yeah.
you kind?
Well, you know what? It's a blessing to wake up next to a beautiful Black woman. And a guy asked me today. He said, I always mention. I don't just say I have a wife. I always say I have a Black wife. And he's like, yeah. We know you married a Black woman. How many times you gonna tell us that? I said, I'm gonna tell y'all that every week, at least twice a week, because A, I'm proud to be married to a Black woman, and B, I want to just send notice all these suckers that don't respect our women the way that we should.
You're setting the example, Boyce.
I don't know what. Well,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's a passion. It's like if you're a rapper, you tell people that you rap every week. You always tell people about your music. If you're a basketball player, you're always talking about which NBA team you think is going to win the finals. So why can't we just be as passionate about our love for each other as we are about everything else? We're passionate about what white people do. We're passionate about police shootings. We're passionate about
Hmm.
Democrats and Republicans, right? So if we're going to be passionate about all that stuff, I think it's okay to be passionate about having a strong Black family and being proud of that. So that's
I
what it
think
is.
that's wonderful. That's great. I would hope that people would look up to us and want to get together and make it work and celebrate each other and all those wonderful things. What is it like being a husband, Boyce?
It's cool.
Is it cool?
It's hard
Okay.
work.
It's hard work, really?
Yeah, well, I always said, I mean, and since we're gonna talk about Bill Cosby today, because we were talking about that earlier, but
Yeah.
but I was saying that I was talking to some of my friends about just keeping it 100, about how like a good wife does protect men. You know,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody else has noticed this or not, but a good wife protects you. I kind of wish when I think about Cosby, I believe he should have gotten out of jail for sure. But I kind of wonder. I'm like, maybe being next to Camille a little bit more could have kept you safe from all those situations that you were in.
We don't know what type of arrangement they have together. We really don't know, do we?
Yeah, well, nobody knows anybody's relationship.
Yeah, we don't know. And they're together now. It seems like they're really sticking it through.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's that's dedication.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
mhm.
God bless them. Yeah, we actually talked to Bill Cosby the other day, and that was
Yeah,
interesting.
I was really pleased that he was still funny. You know
He
that
was. He,
like
he cracked jokes. We talked for 10 minutes, and he was cracking jokes in those ten
yeah,
minutes.
so I like that because I didn't want it to steal his I don't know, steal his ability to see the irony in things and it lets you know that he still has this positive attitude and can point out things that are really funny. I liked his energy. It was really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was what you would expect. It reminds
Yeah.
me of the time when I got a chance to meet with Minister Louis Farrakhan for the first time. I've talked to him a few times since then, but it was like right in that moment. I remember thinking, okay, this is Farrakhan. Like I'm getting 100% Farrakhan. It wasn't like for some people they have a public persona and a private persona.
Right, right.
I felt like with the minister, it was 100% authentic all the way across the board, privately and publicly. He's always Farrakhan or Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yeah.
He's always Dr. Claude Anderson.
Oh
Is
my God, yes. When we went to visit him and his wife,
Oh, I love him and his
that
wife.
was so great. It was great to see them interact with each other and to see him. He was on. Like he was
Yeah.
just like he was on your podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's great.
he's always talking about solutions for Black people, and it's a damn shame that that we elevate people that don't have solutions. We elevate the idiots, and we're
Hmm.
trained to ignore the smart people, the people that actually have the solutions, and that's why I go out of my way. Like and in general, I think, and when I think about it, I think that my conversation on the Cosby case,
Yeah.
my conversation about Dr. Anderson and my conversation about you being married to a Black woman, it all kind of fits a pattern in my personality.
Oh, okay. Say more about that.
The pattern is that I think who I am. I wear that on my sleeve.
Yeah.
The things I believe in and I'm passionate about. Like I'm going to talk about those things.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about solutions, education and economics for Black people. I talk about that all the time.
Wow, because Bill Cosby is a great supporter of education, and
Hmm.
Claude Anderson, he's a great supporter of the economic piece. That
Hmm.
is like aspects of you. That is
Yeah.
really awesome.
Well, there's a piece of me that does admire like all those people and
Yeah.
puts them in kind of the same category because I think sometimes we forget that we're Black in America. Like I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Where
the chat.
where some people act like racism is dead and gone and that it's a thing of the past. And it's like,
Mm,
no, you're always Black. You're still Black. They still doing the same stuff that they did 100 years ago. They didn't stop. So with the Cosby case, um, not this does not mean Cosby was completely innocent or never ever did anything wrong. A lot of people do things wrong, but if you can't prove it, you can't lock them up. A
mm-hmm,
lot of people break
mm-hmm,
the law. But I'm not saying Cosby did or didn't, but if you can't prove it, like if a white woman breaks the law and I can't prove it, I
mm-hmm.
can't say, well, let's go lock her up because a lot of people will say that she did something illegal. They're gonna say, prove it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what happened, the reason why it can't be proven is because their story kind of aligns together. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I gave her drugs. She asked for drugs. She said
Right.
it was okay. Yes, we had a moment. We had a what is it called? Entanglement, but
Mm.
it was she gave me the green light.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as if he forced anybody to do something, and I think that's where it becomes illegal. Um,
Well, the interesting thing to me
uh-huh.
is the way media went out of their way to really almost lie, like deliberately misinterpret that
Mhm.
Cosby deposition. They've been saying in the media that he admitted to drugging women, and against their will,
Oh,
and
against
he
their
and
will.
he
Okay.
never said against their will.
Uh,
He never drugged them. He said they asked for drugs, I gave them drugs.
yeah.
And that was at a time, Judge Joe Brown, the way he kind of body slammed Mark Lamar Hill on that topic, he did a great job. I got to throw that in there because he did. He made Mark look kind of silly.
Mhm.
Um, is he explained? He put it into context, and he said, "This was the '60s, free love,
Mhm.
drugs everywhere. Sex, drugs, rock and roll." Sex, drugs, and rap. I remember saying, he said it his own way: sex, drugs, rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rap. Like he's got that country accent, and he's right.
Mhm.
And we met Judge Joe Brown too, man. What you think about
That's
that?
right. We did meet him. What an interesting man. Good grief. I mean, we just like kind of stood around talking to him, and then we had to sit down because
Yeah,
he had a lot to say
and he's
about a
smart.
lot of people.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even repeat the conversation we had about Barack Obama.
Oh no, let's just
Oh, buddy.
let's keep
Oh,
the Barack
buddy.
Obama
If y'all
conversation
had heard
between
that conversation about Barack, Judge Joe Brown is a dangerous
us.
person because he knows where the bodies are buried,
Yes, he
and he
does.
doesn't give a damn anymore. He just will share whatever. And he broke. But I wish y'all could have been a fly on the wall for that conversation. I'm not gonna repeat it because I don't want to. I don't really want to drift from what we're discussing. But
He had a lot to say about a lot of different people, though. Oh, who's the guy, the other activist? Al Sharpton.
oh yeah,
He had
that
stuff to say about Al
whoa,
Sharpton.
yeah, the stuff he said about Al Sharpton was not fit for TV. Yeah, he said some stuff about Sharpton that was pretty. Yeah, the thing about Judge Joe Brown, and I like talking about him because I think him and Cosby, I'm hoping they get a chance to talk,
Yeah.
is
Oh,
because
yeah.
Judge Joe Brown is interesting for two reasons. Two reasons he's interesting to me. One, he is very 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 intelligent. Like a lot of people think because you got that country twang or whatever that you're not smart or whatever. That man has a photographic memory. Like he
Yeah.
remembers everything. And then the second thing is everything you ask him, he's a great storyteller. He always tells a story. He'll never, if you say, Judge, what is your favorite color? He'll say, well, back in 1955, there was a Russian man named Vladimir Osopakov who worked for the KGB. Like he'll just and then the story will end with explaining why his favorite color is brown or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? I think we need to look to elders. I think that we really need to look to elders to guide this conversation because they have the perspective. Even like
Mm,
talking to my mom who's almost 80.
mm,
Just listening to her. I mean, she's, come on. She grew up in that era. And so
mhm.
she was really able to give a perspective that I think someone like Nicole, our daughter, isn't able to give because Nicole
Yep.
doesn't know what's going on, and
Yep.
so I think some of the youth can learn from the wisdom and the perspective of older people, even like your mom and my mom. Like they were totally on the board with the Bill Cosby situation, which is
Yeah.
really interesting that
Hmm.
some of the older citizens here, senior citizens, you think they're senior citizens, but then they start talking about what it was like back in the day, and you're like, hey, wait, they were actual people back then.
Yeah. Well, what
you
but what the
know.
white media does not do
Hmm.
is they don't hear from people that we hear from. They
Right.
don't listen to those people, right? They like to the liberals. The big thing that drives me crazy about liberals is they love telling black people what they're supposed to think. They love
Uh-huh.
looking at us and saying, "No, you're wrong. You should be this way." And what I like about having a platform is because I started building this platform after I actually got banned from CNN
uh
back in 2008. I said, I think I need to build my own, and that's what we have now is what I've been building for like 10, 12 years. And I remember, that we did a survey on this platform of a few 100,000 people. And I said, do you think Cosby should be out of jail? 88%, overwhelming majority said yes.
Mhm.
88%. You don't see that on TV. They're not going to talk about that. And then when we talk, we talk about that hidden demographic, the people that the media won't listen to, older black women,
Yeah.
like your mama and my mama. They didn't give a damn. They were like, I mean, they laid down like some facts that only your black mama can like
Yes.
break down for you. And they just, and I think that their perspective was like, we know the game.
Yes, that's exactly what they were saying. Those women, my mom was like, those women were drug addicts,
Hmm.
and they would do whatever they can to get on the case, get some more money to take some more drugs. She saw it. She saw it. And she listens. What's amazing is that she watches MSNBC all day long. Like
Hmm.
she watches that media, but for some reason it is not permeating her in terms of her perspective, especially her perspective, because she's definitely in support of Louis Farrakhan,
Yes,
and
she
that
is.
channel is not. And I thought it was like really interesting. They really didn't sway her, not totally, because we thought, oh
Hmm.
Lord. We talked to my mom. I'm like, oh Lord, we didn't lost her to MSNBC. We
Yeah.
lost her, but no, not really.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. I like, I like the fact that there are women in the community who really just understand it enough to kind of they know how to deal with us men in a certain way where we know that there's boundaries of behavior. Like we know, when I'm around a strong, well, I don't say strong black woman, that's such a cliche term, but when I'm around, quality women, I call it, people don't understand what I mean when I say quality women. I'm talking about just women who are solidly rooted in the black family, solidly rooted in the black community, solidly rooted with the black man.
Hmm.
You know that there's boundaries, like that there's boundaries of appropriate behavior, right? And then you also know that if something happens and you're accused of something or something goes wrong, they're gonna hear you out. Like they're gonna try to understand the context. It's
Yes.
like that kid I met in my event. The kid remember I told you about that kid from USC
Yes.
who
Yeah.
he was a football star in high school and he was dating a white girl. He was falsely accused of rape, and he told me that, and he's actually at not USC, I'm sorry, he's at Stanford right now. And he said that when he tried to talk to his white friends about it, they didn't want to hear it because they knew he was just accused and that means he was guilty, that's it. And then he said at UCLA he got around black liberals like the LGBT types or whatever, and they didn't want to hear it because they said, well, you got straight black male privilege and what you had to
Hmm.
say doesn't matter. But he said the only people that heard him were the black women that were around him. He said the black women, they knew him as a person and they didn't necessarily judge him right off the bat. And when it was revealed that the white woman had a mental issue, she was kind of off and on these crazy medications and was making false accusations. That's when they let him go. Right. But he said, I was so traumatized. And he said, nobody hurt me. Nobody hears like the pain and the trauma that black men feel. Like,
Except a black woman, which really makes sense that Phylicia Rashad would say what she said.
yes.
Right, so we don't want to see our black men go down from something crazy like this. We're going to stick up for them. And it's almost like we don't even care if we're at jeopardy, even though we're going to say what's right, no matter
Mm.
what happens.
Yeah. Shout out to Phylicia Rashad. Can
Yes.
we type the word Phylicia with a P in the chat. Everybody
That's right.
type Phylicia Rashad's name in the chat just to let her know we support her. Howard University needs to be ashamed for not backing her up, at least backing up her right to speak. Like, it's not so much that it's not a problem that they disagree with her. The problem is that they act like she ain't got a right to have an opinion. Everybody else got a right to have an opinion as long as it's the right opinion.
She got off script.
Yeah. Yeah, she got lost. Well, you're not speaking the standard Negro. You're not following the Negro protocol that we've set for you, and I mean, you're infringing on her First Amendment right. What the hell's wrong with you? So I applaud that. But by the way, this segment we started calling it Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, because we realized that most of the time when we're talking, we're literally laying on our pillows right next to each other.
We are straight chilling. So Pillow Talk is early in the morning. So I guess Pillow Talk doesn't have to be at night.
No, I mean we work.
I guess it doesn't matter. People can listen to this anytime.
We both have our own businesses, so we can we can sleep in until we want, whenever we want to. So
yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, what are people in the chat saying? Read the chat.
Well, everybody's supporting Phylicia, and I saw somebody that did make a legitimate point. And by the way, I want to make it clear, we don't get offended if you disagree. Like, if you think Cosby is a bum, I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm not the guy that's gonna say, "Oh God, what's wrong with you? You're stupid." I don't do what the other people on the other side do. I think everybody has a right to have an opinion, because all those accusations are very disturbing for sure. But one of the things that's interesting, that I thought about the other day. Did I tell you about the conversation I had online about planting evidence, how the media plants evidence?
You mentioned it the other day, but I didn't get to listen to it.
Yeah, well, I made the argument that there's a difference between winning a case in the court of law and the court of public opinion.
Yes.
In the court of law, you really need real evidence. In the court of public opinion, you don't really need evidence. You just need opinion. You need people to agree with you. You need to convince them, right? So in the court of public opinion, which is what people like Gloria Allred use against guys like Cosby, they don't want to really go to the court of law because they know they don't have a legal leg to stand on. They know that they can't get him incarcerated or take his money without violating his civil rights, right? But in the court of public opinion, they say, well, the standard for evidence is very, very low. There is no evidence. The evidence is, well, 20 people said you did it, so it must be true. Since 20 people accuse you, then it must be true. But the point that I made was, I said, the problem, though, is that there was never a point where anybody really went through each particular individual accusation to validate the credibility of the accuser. Like, because they defend themselves by calling it victim blaming, when really you don't know who the victim is. Maybe Cosby's the victim, right? So maybe you're victim blaming by making all these accusations against this man, right? So my point was to say, a lot of this planting of evidence, what it can come down to is, look, if I'm Gloria Allred and I'm in for the shakedown, I don't really care about guilt or innocence. I ain't trying to send nobody to jail. I just want him to write $100 million check so my law firm can get paid. Here's what I do, right? You have one or two accusers that are clearly solid, that where you're like, okay, something might have happened here. We're real concerned, but that's not enough, right? Two accusers accusing him of something that allegedly happened 30 years ago with no physical evidence. That's not going to work in the court of law. So what do you do if you're Gloria Allred? Well, you put out an ad. This is what she did. You put out an ad in USA Today. Say, anybody who's ever slept with Bill Cosby, who was assaulted or drugged by Cosby, call our law office and you can join this $100 million lawsuit. So that means that every person, every crackhead, every broke actress in Hollywood, everybody who needs money, who's ever got with Cosby in the last 40 years, can add their name to the lawsuit. And what's happening is, in my view, is that there's not a lot of scrutiny. There's not appear to be a lot of scrutiny for whether or not the accusation is valid or invalid. So what you do is you take a couple of credible accusations and you pile on with 10 or 20 other questionable ones that would be very questionable if you were to really lay out all the facts to people. And then you say, look, he must have done it. Look at all these accusers. So that's the game. The number one trump card they had on Cosby, the only thing they had no evidence. Now, mind you, anybody who knows of any evidence, give me a yes or no if you've seen any physical evidence that Cosby is guilty. Anything physical that, videotape, just, I don't know, anything that show a rape kit. All these, right? But the only thing they had, their number one trump card, was the number of allegations. That's it.
Okay, so it becomes a he said, she said. It's like this is what he was saying, this is what she said.
Yeah, but what they
Mm-hmm.
do is they take a he said, she said, and then make it into a he said, they said.
Uh-huh.
And then when they make it a they said, and then you pile it on with a bunch of Becky tears, right? Because white
Mm-hmm.
women's tears are gold. White women's tears are worth more than
Oh,
gold
that's
and platinum
right.
put together. Yeah, you get gold. So look at Gloria Allred's press conferences and notice there's always somebody crying at the damn press conference. That is not coincidental. That is orchestrated, right? And it's all
Mm-hmm.
designed to build on this 400-year legacy where America protects the white woman unlike anybody else. So when they
Mm-hmm.
see a white woman cry, they say, "Oh, it must be true. Look, she's crying." Right? And the black man must have done it because we know black men are terrible people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I
No,
like
not terrible people. Black men are sexual predators,
that too.
right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. They,
yeah.
they 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 can't control themselves sexually. They're just like wild beasts and animals. That is the mind control.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want us to see.
Yep.
Even someone as intelligent and brilliant as Bill Cosby, even he can't control that.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I
Mm-hmm.
personally would say, um, if you're gonna have people making accusations that might send a person to die in prison, I want all those people taking a lie detector test to start with, like every single person,
Yeah,
every
but
you know,
and even lie detector tests aren't really that
well, at least
credible. At
it could
least
be
it's
it could be
something.
another piece of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's and because here's the thing, I mean, I don't know. Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Do you think that if somebody announces, hey, put your name on this paper and you can get a piece of a $100 million check that Cosby's going to write? Do you think that there might be a temptation of some people to just put their name on the list if there's no scrutiny?
Yeah.
Right? And it's not, and the media doesn't talk about any of this, which tells you what their agenda is.
Boyce, what do you think is the big takeaway for black men? Because it seemed like
Mm,
Bill Cosby was going after white women back in those days,
mhm.
and it was almost like it could be seen as a status symbol. Here I am with this, nice, beautiful white woman, and here I am in Hollywood, and I've made. I don't know, like, what do you think the big takeaway would be? Because here you are, you're a married man. Bill Cosby's a married man.
Mhm.
Where do you think people listening to you right now, because you've laid it all out, you've done a very great job, of course, what's the big takeaway?
Okay, there's a couple of takeaways depending on what you believe. If you
Mm-hmm.
believe Cosby did something wrong, the obvious takeaway is you can't do that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if it because I'm okay, even though I'm not unbiased, I'm not objective in this case. I believe Cosby should never been in prison. I told him that. I told that to his representative Andrew White, who came on
Mm-hmm.
this channel the other day and did a great interview. He should not have been in jail, but I don't know what lies in a man's heart. And I don't know what a man does in the bedroom. I never know that. I've confronted that when people challenged me on Charlemagne the God's accusations.
Right.
I said, I don't know. I did not know that man
Mm-hmm.
at that time. I have not talked to Charlemagne in 2 years. When people challenged me on Russell Simmons accusations, I said, I knew Russell Simmons in one context when we worked on that mass incarceration campaign in 2013. I did not know Russell in the 90s. I cannot speak on that. When my best friend was accused of rape
Oh.
years ago, I'm not going to say his name, but because it was a false, it turned out it was proven to be a false accusation. I was asked about that, and I said, "He's my boy. I want truth to come out." But I've never been in the room when he's having sex, so I don't know. I can't sit here and say I know, or just because he's my friend. People do that. People say, "Well, that's my friend. He would never do that." You don't know what your friends do in the bedroom. But with him, fortunately, thank God, it was revealed that this lady had falsely accused 4 other men in the same year. It was something crazy. But they locked him up. He was in jail for 3 weeks. He had to quit school. He lost all his money, and he was traumatized in jail. And that was before that, and then eventually they found out that he didn't do it. That's what happens to so many, and it's crazy. So the takeaway to me is, if you believe he did it, then obviously the takeaway is don't do that type of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
if you believe he did not do it, if you believe that this was, um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the contrived, orchestrated effort on the part of others um, to misinterpret ambiguous situations, drug fueled, alcohol fueled sex binges, and turn that into something that it wasn't with
Mm-hmm.
no evidence whatsoever. Uh, I think the to me the takeaway is be careful. Like,
Right.
like you still
Mm-hmm.
black. Like, and I think that's the thing that I think is just real. If you're a black man, like for example, when they talk about women sleeping with their boss. One of the arguments that some people make is, if you're a woman, you sleep with your boss has power that you don't have. So your boss has the ability to force you to do things that you shouldn't do or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? Well, because there's a power dynamic. They always talk about the power imbalance.
Yes.
Well, with the black man, there's a power imbalance when you sleep with a white woman. The white woman has the ability to ruin your life with a story. If she walks out of that room, like y'all go in there and y'all do what lovers do, and nobody else is around, and y'all have a little get together, she could walk out of that room and tell whatever story she wants, and people are gonna believe her. That
Mm-hmm.
scares the hell out of me. That mortifies me. And it is not just true for white women. It's true in general for for women, but really for white women. So that's why I've never slept with a white woman, because I don't know. Well, I'm not attracted. I'm more attracted to black women anyway. Thank God. But if I was interested in a white woman, I'd have to really know her and trust the hell out of her for years before
Mm-hmm.
I would lay down with her. Because the thing is, all you want is fairness. All you want is honesty. And there's some people out here who are just flat out dishonest, who will go into a room with you, do some stuff with you, and then later on, maybe they want something from you. Maybe they want money or they want more attention, and then you don't give that to them. Then they come back and say, "Oh, this person raped me," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, once you get that stain of the accusation, you can't wash it off. Like I go through that even with what I do now. And the thing that men should understand is that your wife kind of protects you from that. Like you protect me. You've protected me when I've had, like, I work with Fly Nubian Queen, and there are some women that will come in that want to get real close to me, want to get to know me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And having you around is a shield. It protects me from people that want to get a little bit too close. And that way there's no ambiguity. It's like, because I there was one lady with Fly Nubian Queen who quit, and she was kind of bratty about it or whatever, and upset. We had to fire her. And so she insinuates online that well, Boyce tried to hit on me. Dr. Boyce tried to hit on me. And I was able to easily say that's not true, because I've never been in the room with her. I've never met her in person. I never invited myself to be in the room with her. And both times I talked to her, you were right there. You know who it is. I'm not gonna
Oh,
say her name,
okay.
but
All
you know
right.
who it is.
That
I
was
wasn't
really
even, yeah,
funny.
you were right there. And that's you were right there, and we were on speakerphone. So it's like that I did that for protection. You got to be strategic in this. If you are a black man and you don't know how to be strategic, they will take your ass down. You got to be playing chess on these sons of bitches. You can't be out here playing checkers. And too many of these dudes are playing checkers, and they don't
Mm.
understand how many ways they can get you hemmed up.
So if you're perceived as a powerful black person like Bill Cosby was for sure in Hollywood, he's the get to know person,
Yep.
in Hollywood at the time. His power. Now that gave him power. And
Yeah.
I guess you really wanted to grow Fly Nubian Queen really well, and it is doing awesome. I love that channel, by the way. And trying to, you say, wow, women need to have a voice. I remember talking to you about this. Women need to
Mhm.
have a voice. We need to have something that's too male, because me and you were talking about how social media and a lot of these platforms is so male dominated. What is it? We want to hear from what women want to think. And so you really were passionate about that. And so that does, in that sense, give you some sort of power. I don't think that you really are that hands-on with Fly Nubian Queen as much as
Well, yeah,
usual.
I'm
But
not, but and you're right. I mean,
yeah.
there is the power there, and people treat you different when they think you got money and power and all that.
Right, right,
And sometimes as men, we can become drunk with power. Like that's
right.
what like Chris Rock actually was talking about how men just pretty much accumulate wealth and power just so they can get more vagina.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and now in my case it's more like, I that's not like, I'm not 30 years old, like I'm 50, right? And what happens is, as you get older, you realize that there's also a curse that comes with that. There's a danger that comes with that. Every time you
Mm-hmm.
engage with a person or you entangle with them, there's a lot of complexities that can emerge from that situation. So as a general rule, my advice to young guys, especially guys who are ambitious, who are going to have money, is to understand that when you are a black man and you get a little bit of money in your pocket, you become a target. You will be a target.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a sucker, if you're not smart, if you are undisciplined, if you have a weakness that is easily exploitable, people will take advantage of that. Like that story I told you about when that lady called me that one time, when I was at AOL Black Voices. Well, I told you that story about the lady who worked for the Brazilian butt doctor.
You're kidding.
No, no,
Wait,
this
what happened?
no, this lady. Okay, I had just written an article 12 years ago about Lawrence Taylor, the football player, and
Uh,
Gloria Allred got money out of him too, I think. because she had one of her Becky Tier press conferences. Except actually, this was actually a young black girl claiming that Lawrence Taylor had slept with this underage girl, right? And I was like, wow, that's bad. You shouldn't do that, right? And but here's the thing. So this lady called me. She said she worked for a Brazilian butt doctor, and she said I know that girl, and I know her crew she runs with. She said, and she gave me a whole
Oh.
backstory that blew my mind. She said, "Oh yeah, there's three of them." She said, "One's 15, one's 16, the other one's 19, and what they do is they study rappers and athletes, it's the ones that like fast women." And basically, they'll find out like, okay, this so and so young Jeezy or whoever is coming to town. He likes jump offs. I'm gonna go. We're gonna go to the club and lure him in. And the 19-year-old was real pretty, and she was of age. And basically, they would lure the guys in, and they would get them to go to the hotel room with them. They would do a Cardi B type thing on them. They would bring them to a hotel room, give them a drink. The guy passes out, and then they put the 15-year-old in the bed with the guy and start taking pictures. And then they would extort money from the guys after they woke up. And most of the guys would just pay them because it was like $10,000. Like it was like ghetto extortion, like $10,000 is a lot of money, I guess, in the hood. And but then she claimed, yeah, she claimed that she felt that Lawrence Taylor didn't pay. And that's why next thing you know, they're on, Gloria Allred's holding a press conference and all this other stuff. So my point is to say not that every single accusation is false. We know that that's not true. But I think that to believe that every accusation is true just because somebody said it is equally ridiculous.
Man, you would have if something happened like that. I would run to the police so bad and turn those people in so quick. We'd be fighting each other to see who gets to the police first. I'd be like, "Oh no, this is illegal. I'm out of here. I'm reporting you." That is so interesting. What are you looking up?
Oh, nothing. I was actually sending a note to my assistant to tell her that I need an extra few minutes for the meeting.
Are you late to a meeting, Boyce?
Yeah, but I enjoy sitting there talking to you. By the way, Alicia's doing Alicia's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, but she works with couples on a regular basis. And this week she's doing a 2-day masterclass on premarital breakdowns.
What do you need to know? What conversations do you need to have before you get married? Yeah. And a lot of people do not have those conversations first.
Or to decide if somebody's right for you.
Yeah, because love is not enough. Love is not enough. Oh, nope. We so happy, we so in love. That is not enough to get married.
Or she got a nice booty.
She got a nice booty. I'm marrying her.
I know guys do. I know guys that will marry a woman because they like her booty.
Oh, they're gonna be miserable,
right? Or women who think a man's a good catch just because he has a little bit of money or he looks good on paper, and it's like it's so deep, so much deeper than that.
Yeah, because those kind of people, they end up in my office a lot.
Really?
And I say, well, did you have these conversations before you got married? Before you decided to do? No, they never decided how they were going to divide simple stuff like who's going to cook, who's going to clean, who's going to do the laundry, who's going to pay the bills. Nothing. How many children do you want to have? They don't even have these types of conversations before they get married. They just go into the marriage with assumptions. And of course, the reality hits and become very miserable, especially that first year.
Wow.
It's really awful.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's important stuff. And by the way, so if you are interested, you can go to theblackmarriageclass.com. That's the URL. And also you can follow Alicia on Instagram, and also you can check out her site, where she does couples counseling at coachingwithdralicia.com.
Thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it, Boyce. Wow, thank you for all your support.
Well,
I just have to show you appreciation for my business.
Well, I tell our girls, I told Taylor and her friends the other day.
Oh, really?
They came by, Colin, I guess I should say all the names, but this is their first names.
The first name.
They came by and I said, so y'all gonna do your business this summer? And they said, we're thinking about it. I said, I think y'all should do it. Y'all did a great job. And I said, remember, every woman needs to have her own money, girl. And I was kind of messing with them. But I think that's important. You got to teach your daughters to have their own money, because a lot of people, and women especially, get exploited because they have financial insecurity and their partner makes all the money, and they can't leave a bad relationship because they don't have enough money to do it.
Yeah, totally stuck. But I think for me, it's just like, I'm so passionate about what I do. It's just like, I can't believe I get paid to do this. Like, this is so much fun to sit and work with couples. When they come to see me, it's like awful. Some of the stuff that they go through, some of the stuff that they do to each other, you're just like, oh my God, time out here. And just to be able to use gosh, what a 20 over 20 years of knowledge to be able to use. I didn't even know I knew as much as I knew. This is very validating for me because it's really nice to use all the things that I know and all the things that I've experienced myself and to be able to help a couple, especially Black couples. And it,
Mm,
it doesn't even have to take a lot. It could just be a tweaks here and there and just say, okay, I can make a good relationship great. Why
mm,
not? So it's fun. And so to see, wow, I actually get paid for this.
mm.
It's really interesting. So I mean, I would say to those women, to those girls, when you get up, follow your passion. That voice in your head, that whatever it is that's dragging you toward your purpose in life, do that and then start a business around that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
if you know, I mean, if you know entrepreneurship and how to start a business, you can build a business model around almost anything.
Yeah,
You,
and then learn, like be an expert. So it's like I'm passionate about what I do, but I'm always learning, I'm always reading, of course I have to keep my license current, so I have to get my CEUs. But that sort of thing, it just keeps the spark going. It keeps you on top of everything, and then you just know so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now back to Bill Cosby real quick.
Yes,
So
Bill
let's
Cosby.
let's summarize with that.
Hmm.
And by the way, please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. I think that overall, as we were talking earlier about, relationships and marriage and Cosby, the big picture to me is,
Hmm.
first of all, I just think that Camille and Phylicia Rashad, it's interesting how we see them both as his wives.
Yeah.
Felicia's his TV wife, his first wife, and then Camille is the other wife, right? And you can't help but feel like there's a connection, like in terms of the caliber and quality. If you think about it, Phylicia and Camille are both women that carry themselves with a type of dignity and grace that is really respected, and that's something I can relate to. Like when we talked to when you and I talked to Bill Cosby, when you and I talked to Dr. Claude Anderson, I mentioned to you, I said, notice that all three of us have wives who are doctors something. Like we have
Ah.
smart Black women like next, and that's something I can really relate to. You know, it's there's something
Mhm.
about that. It's like a regal kind of quality, and I think that gets tested, right? It got tested with with this whole situation, and I think what we can do as men is, really kind of scrutinize ourselves a little bit more in terms of saying, you
Mhm.
know, what does discipline look like, right? Like,
Mhm.
or even even just anybody I know, most men I know that are really successful that are married, they tend to have a thing where it's kind of like they kind of know boundaries of behavior, not just out of like sort of committing
Mhm.
to um what you're supposed to do, but it's also about survival.
Yeah, and these women, I mean, they've been married for a long time, so I know they got a lot of stories. I mean, I know they've been
Mm.
through a lot. I think their marriage, even I would even say probably Claude Anderson and his wife, and of course Bill Cosby and his wife. You can almost tell they've been together for a long time, so you can tell they just really know each other very well. And I'm
Mm.
sure there's some stories in there, but the
Mhm.
difference is that me and you, I've known you for a very long time, but not in this way.
Yeah.
So it would have been interesting if we had got seriously, if we had dated in college and got married back then.
Oh gosh.
Imagine, boys,
Oof.
30, you're 20 something years old, we had got married. What stories would we have?
You know
We
what?
would have
I
some
would I, would-
stories.
I was happily single in my 20s and 30s, and I didn't want to get married till I was 45. It's funny. I think I think there was some guy who is apparently a couple of people are really obsessed with our relationship, even though they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But there was this idea that somehow you had shelved me for 26 years,
I
and
shelved you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That you just decided to get with me 26 years later, 26 years after I met you, and I was like, no, actually, I didn't want to get married till I was 45 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't
But
because
wait, weren't you engaged though?
I was engaged, and that
How
was
old were you when you
I was
did
about
that?
35, and I was interested in having kids, and it didn't work out. And she was an awesome woman, but it was like I could have went either way. And after the engagement, after we called that off, I kind of said, well, wait a minute, I don't actually have to ever get married if I don't want to. And
Uh,
I kind of teeter back and forth. And my position on it was, if I run into a situation
mhm.
where then like an offer you can't refuse, or a situation that can't be replaced, then I'm probably gonna marry that woman, right? And But if I'm in a good situation, I probably won't want to get married, because marriage does take work, and it is a commitment, and there's responsibilities. A lot of guys won't get married because they're not able to handle accountability. Like, you're accountable for other
Yeah,
people.
you
You're
go your
accountable
whole life
financially.
and you don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to be accountable to anybody. It can be an adjustment.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it takes more. Like, marriage is not for weak men, and it's not for immature men.
Right.
And
Right.
so I really think, even my honest belief is that if you're under 30 and you're getting married, you got to be real careful. You really need some coaching. It's possible to do. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
should. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I would just say anybody under 30 that gets married needs to really have like a coach that they talk to once a week, who can keep their shit straight. And then, but and then, because really 35 and up is when you're kind of ready as a man, because you're more like, it's like, okay, I've already done some stuff. I've lived my life a little bit. And it ain't just about, women.
Yeah,
It's
but
more about just,
hold
doing
on,
what you want to do.
35? Like, who's having kids at 35?
Well, that's
You
the
can
thing.
get,
Well, that's the
that's
thing.
your time, your clock is ticking. So these men would have to marry women in their 20s.
Yeah, they would marry a younger woman, and that was something I thought about doing. I thought it when I was 40. I was like, okay, I could marry like a 30-year-old. Honestly, like, you start meeting more women, and I'm going all over the world. There's women, like, there was women everywhere, like smart women, pretty women, all that.
What? You
None
had
like
women
you.
everywhere,
None
boys?
like you. None like you.
Wow.
Yeah, and I chose to marry you because I felt like you were that person where it's like, if I pass up this woman next to me, I can't
Uh-huh.
replace her. Like I didn't feel like, and that's the thing that I think women should understand, is that you shouldn't just compete on the superficial stuff, like who's got the nicest booty or who's best, with sex. It's like that, those qualities that are solely unique to you. Like, me in a way that nobody else does. I know you in a way nobody else does. I can't replace you. On top
Mm-hmm.
of the fact that I think you're drop dead gorgeous, right? So that
Oh.
is what makes you say, okay, I want to lock this in, because I can't see myself doing better than this, right? And also, when you get, like, the way you make decisions in your late 40s is different from the way you make decisions in your late 20s. So
Mm-hmm.
your late 40s, you're having to face, you're facing your mortality. Like, when, I had bad high blood pressure and all this other
Oh.
stuff. So you're kind of like, okay, I don't want to be. I saw an episode of Martin one time. I know you love Martin.
I love that show.
Yeah, and there was an episode where Martin was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stay young and fly." He was playing poker with a bunch of old dudes. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be young and fly. Ain't no woman gonna hold me down. I'm just gonna live it up." And the older dude, the OG, basically told him. He said, I think he said something like, "Every old fool used to be a young fool."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I remember hearing about that, where he was talking about basically, like, when you get older, you got to think about who's going to really be there for me or whatever. And I look around, and when you see guys like rappers, a lot of rappers that live the fast life, up until, whatever, they died like 47, 48 years old. And so I think, to some extent, a wife, it does kind of, it slows you down, but it protects you from yourself.
Ah,
You know, it,
protecting
it,
yourself from yourself. So you getting married to me protected yourself
it did. It
from
did.
all sorts of
Well,
things.
you think about it. You make me exercise. You make me. Well, you don't make me,
I
but
don't
but you
make you do
you
that.
encourage me to eat food that is healthier than the food I would be eating if I was single.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't get into situations, because when you're with your wife, you're not going to be in crazy situations with women that you don't know that well. So you're not going to be a subject
Well,
to certain
just because you're
temptations.
married, that don't stop women from.
Yeah, but if you're with your wife, if you're next to her,
It's
it's a,
more difficult, but it's not
right,
impossible.
right. So if you have a man who genuinely wants to be
Mm-hmm.
a good man, then my advice to that man is, stick around your wife. That way, whatever thing might tempt you, the likelihood of the temptation is much lower, as opposed to, like, just
Mm.
run around and just be in all these weird situations or whatever.
Well,
You
I
know,
trust you. I mean, I don't have to be around you all the time. Like, you could go and travel and do whatever. I trust that everything will be fine.
well,
It's not like
well, I
I
appreciate
worry.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that trust, and and
Mm-hmm.
and it helps for sure. But it's also like, and it's not even just about women. It's more about, um just all the things I mean, typically the four things that bring a man down if he's trying to be successful. That's the other thing
Mm-hmm.
too. Like, men who I think see the value of a spouse are also, they tend to be more ambitious, in the sense that they're like, I'm more of an empire builder, right? So I don't know how I can just build an empire when it's just me. You can't have like a one man empire or one man army. Like, you have to have a legacy and children and whatever. And then also, the four things that tend to bring a man down are sex, drugs, alcohol, and gambling,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're single, You can do all those things to whatever extent you want. You can go to Vegas, you know, get a hooker. Oh, we went to
You can do
Vegas.
all of it, all
Right.
four of that in
Right.
Vegas.
Literally, you can go to Vegas. Right. Vegas that's why they call it Sin City, right? You
Hmm.
get your hooker, get you some drugs, drink till you pass out and gamble all your money away, right?
And no one will stop you.
Yeah, yeah. And if you look at that so-called that fake, what I call fake alpha male culture, that's what they
Yeah.
encourage men to do. Like just literally drink yourself into until you're dead, use drugs until you have a heart attack, you know, sleep with a bunch of women until you get accused of rape and get sent to prison, and gamble away all your money and look like Antoine Walker, who went through $110
Oh
million.
Lord.
Right. If Antoine Walker were like, I don't know if he got married. I think he did marry Evelyn Lozada, one of those basketball wives, right? That gold digger. But if he were mentored, I think, by a quality, sturdy man who had a
Hmm.
good wife who could tell him to slow down, I think he would have been, you know, a very wealthy man to this day. But instead, you know,
Hmm.
he lost everything because you as a man, you just kind of have these energies that push you to do all these things that are inherently destructive, not just to other people, but to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of these men, whatever it means, some of these men they look outside in themselves to be fulfilled. It's like there's something lacking in themselves. I don't even know if people really, if men are really conscious of that. But a lot of men who suffer from feeling of a low self worth, and people who feel like, oh, I have to accomplish these things in order to have my worth. So I have to have a lot of money in order to have worth. I have to be able to, oh, I need to, I'm in lack of something, so I need to gamble. You know, those things that drive addiction and
Mm.
behavior that is definitely not pro-social and helpful to you. People that drive that, they are fulfilling some sort of need within themselves that they
Well,
did not get. It could be that they were younger, could be that they have trauma, who knows? But for whatever it is, you're sitting around, you're discontent, you don't know what it is, and you look for drugs to help to feel that, or alcohol, or gambling, any sort of addictions. I think that these men are definitely having some issues with, and they need help. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Addictions will ruin everything you're trying to do. And the worst thing about what they did to hip hop culture is they encouraged addictions. Like they
Mm-hmm.
encourage young people to
Mm-hmm.
become addicted at an early age, which is going to destroy brain cells that they'll never get back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we've been watching Snowfall,
Oh,
and
Snowfall.
Snowfall is
Jeez.
just a heartbreaking show because you see how the drugs destroyed people, you know, and destroyed their lives. And and then now in hip hop music, we glorify all of that. We glorify our own destruction as Black people. Like that whole crack era, we still rapping about that like it was the glory days. You know, like that's a good thing. And I just really think as Black people, we got to think about that kind of thing. And so I thank God for the OGs in the community and the old school types and the older Black women and older Black men, because I feel like the reason we grab on to the Joe Browns and the Dr. Claude Andersons, or the reason I love listening to your mother and my mother, is because they remind us of the days before we started really embracing all the nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, when we had quality families, when we really wanted to build a solid community, when education was seen as a good thing, not a bad thing. You know, when love and marriage was seen as a good thing. You know, loving Black women was seen as a good thing.
Wow, because both my parents grew up in a two-family household. My
Mm.
mom and dad grew up in a two-parent household. So gosh, and you see that's kind of rare,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, people, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I asked, there was one little girl that was on the track team that I used to coach. And I asked her, I said, how many of your friends have a father that lives in their house? And she
Mm.
said, none of them. None
Mm-hmm.
of her friends. And you see the results everywhere. Like half her friends been molested, you know, because they get molested by uncles and their mama's boyfriends or whatever. And people forget that fathers protect you from that type of stuff. Like, ain't nobody gonna touch our daughters. They can't.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get close enough to touch them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like seriously, like no, I would be on their ass. Their dad would be on their ass. Like there is. It's not like you could just waltz up in here and sweet talk your way through the door and get next to our kids, or some guy dating you could be, you know, doing whatever. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
personally think that we've got to really get back to where we can show that appreciation for what a good Black man can bring to a family. And I think the part of the reason the Cosby thing is so bothersome is not because people believe that he might be guilty. I think it's okay to believe that. but it's the fact that they literally believe he's completely worthless to the black community. Like, because he's been
Yeah.
accused, not convicted, not with any evidence, but because he's been accused, they want to take down every single positive show he ever did. They want to act like he never did anything good for the world.
Oh.
Like, he was never ever good for anybody ever.
Oh, and it hurts. It hurts to see Bill Cosby go through this because he's the ultimate father. It's like taking Bill Cosby away. I feel like you've taken my father away.
Damn. That
Just watching that.
that's so interesting. So maybe destroying Bill Cosby is
It's
symbolic of destroying the black
symbolism
father in
of
general.
not even just the black man, but the black protector, the black father who protects us. That was
Mm.
taken away.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I fight for Cosby, is not because I
Hmm.
believe he never did anything wrong. It's to say that I want y'all to treat Bill. Here's my thing with y'all. I'm gonna leave. This is my last thought on this, and then I got to go to this meeting. All I want for Cosby is not for you to think that he's an angel. I don't need you to do that. I need y'all to treat him with the same dignity that y'all would treat a white woman. If a white woman was
Hmm.
accused by a bunch of people of doing a crime, but there was no physical evidence, give me a yes or no in the chat. If a white woman was accused of a crime where there's no physical evidence, is there any chance that they would send her to die in prison with no evidence? Can anybody name any? You can, I bet you can't name one single time in American history where a white woman was accused of something where there was no physical evidence and she was sent to die in prison. Can you? Other than the
Mm-mm.
Salem witch trials, which we all know was a travesty of justice.
But that was a long time
Right, a
ago.
long time ago, and we know
Uh-huh.
we know that it was terrible, right? So
Yeah.
that, why are y'all giving the black man the Salem witch trial treatment?
Hmm.
Seriously, y'all are literally, this is an inquisition. This is, and the fact that there are black people who are okay with the direct and clear, blatant violation of a black man's civil rights. I don't know what the hell's
Hmm.
wrong with those people.
Well, the thing when I'm sure there are cases of a white woman going to jail for something they didn't do, but it's not public. I think the issue is that what public white woman have you seen go down for something they didn't do?
Mm,
It's the image. It's the image of the white woman going down. What that does psychologically. Like, let me tell you, it hurt me psychologically to see Whitney Houston go down the way she did,
mm,
because I grew up in the 80s. Whitney Houston was who I looked up to. Like,
mm,
I loved what that was. She was the ultimate black woman, Whitney
mm,
Houston. But then to see her go down the way she did, it was hard. It
yeah,
was
it
tough. And
was.
I think that's why Snowfall is such a hard show to watch.
I
Because
don't.
we
I
see
can't.
so many wonderful women start using crack and they just go down. Girls.
Well,
And
yeah,
that
yeah. I don't
hurts.
like. I can't. I can't. Yeah, Snowfall. Snowfall got to the point.
Snowfall
It started
hurts.
making me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And the imagery was amazing. How they, at the beginning of every show, when they have the neighborhood, the houses that spell the word snowfall,
Yeah, it's
and every
destroying.
episode the houses get a little bit nastier and shit starts burning up,
Oh my
and you
goodness.
start seeing police helicopter lights over it. Like you really literally are seeing the decay of the black community.
You really are. And to see that televised like that, and then we already lived through it in the 80s. Now we have to
Yeah,
live through it again through this TV show, and we can't stop watching it. It's awful, and we can't stop watching it.
yeah.
We're on season 3. We haven't
I might
finished.
not watch season 4, because
Boys, we gotta,
I'm almost a little sick to my stomach. Because
yeah.
I think that what and this is the thing that makes me fight so hard on things like this, is that I like to hold on to and support and elevate those people who believe that the world can be better, for all of us.
Yeah.
Or that can remember a time where it wasn't like that. The people who haven't been convinced that up is down and down is up. Like, when you talked about, like, I really, like, the fighter in me came out when I saw, guys online saying, to thousands of people that marrying a black woman is simping and all this other stuff. I'm like, who the hell who raised you? What's wrong with you? Like, what kind of punk are you? Like I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, it's really twisted.
well, a lot of them were just raised by stupid ass rappers, like these dumbass
Ah.
retarded rappers, these sons of bitches that are dying at the age of 40,
Mhm.
hooked on drugs, rapping about killing other black people, disrespecting women, tricking off their money to white folks, embracing as much ignorance as they possibly can. That those
Mhm.
become your heroes, and that's all. That's
Yeah.
all part of the part of the plan. Their goal is to say we're going to take the shittiest black men ever and make them role models in the community so that every black man will be a piece of shit and won't accomplish anything.
Yeah, I see that was what was torn in me with Snowfall. It's like I'm siding with Franklin. I'm siding with him. I'm
Franklin,
rooting
the main
the
character
main
in the
character. I'm
show.
sorry, the main character Franklin. I'm siding with Franklin, but he's the one that's destroying the community. He's the one that's tearing it down. He's playing that part, and then they're trying to rationalize with us by saying, "Okay, if not him, then we'll just get somebody else." Like it's gonna happen. It
Mm-hmm.
there's no stopping it. We are gonna be the CIA is gonna be filtering this cocaine, this crack into these communities, and it's either gonna be Franklin, this guy doing it, or someone else. And so here
Mm-hmm.
we are rooting for. I'm not gonna lie, I'm rooting for him, but I'm like I shouldn't be because he's not a
I'm not.
good person.
Well, yeah. In general, I
You
told you,
know?
I don't. I think Snowfall is just symbolic of kind of what we're talking about
Yeah.
with the contrast in terms of what black people have become. What people have made us into, and they've
Mm-hmm.
really made us into people who worship all the wrong things. And then when our community continues to remain in shambles, continues to
Right.
fall apart, there are black people who cheer for that. There are black
Yeah.
people who want that. They see that as being really black. Like that's the real black experience in their mind
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know how to compare it to anything better than that. They don't even know. They can't even imagine what a healthy family looks like because they never saw it. Like
Mm.
I had one mama, my daddy was garbage, my mom was on crack, you know, and they're, whatever. And I'm not making fun of those individuals. I'm just saying that when you are addicted to the poison and you've been taught to celebrate the poison, then you don't want anything better than that.
You
Yes.
know what? As you were talking, I'm just here thinking about the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show was the answer to all of that.
Mm,
Just think about the Cosby Show rose up during the in the 80s,
yeah, during the
right?
crack
During the
era.
time of the crack era, the Cosby Show was a counter narrative to that.
Mm,
The Cosby Show was saying, okay, here we are. We're a lawyer, a doctor, we're together, we're an intact family, we're raising these kids, we're dealing with real issues. The Cosby Show is what a lot of these people looked toward as the ultimate couple, as the ultimate
wow.
family. So the
Wow.
Cosby Show really helped a lot of us. I mean, he helped a lot of us during that era, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. And I remember you were talking to me about the subconscious mind
Yeah,
after you did that. How many hours was that
I'm listening.
thing you listened
It's
to on the
22
subconscious?
hours,
So
and I love it.
yeah, so you spent 22 hours studying the subconscious mind,
Well, at least 22
and I said,
recently.
I never forget. I said, what are the things that control the subconscious mind? And you said trauma,
Mm-hmm.
repetition, and symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about symbolism, I think about things like that. You talk about whether it's the Cosby Show as a symbol of what Black people can become, and you notice if you watch the Cosby Show, go back and watch
Yes.
scenes on the Cosby Show. In the background, they
Oh,
always had stuff that was tapping into your subconscious mind. Like
yes.
even I was watching that episode where Theo got the earring and his daddy called him with the earring,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked on the wall, like what's on the wall. I
Yes.
saw HBCU. I saw something
Mm-hmm.
with like Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
Like they really got that. Like
Yeah.
they really knew the subconscious mind. That symbolism matters.
Oh, it makes a big difference. And you see it all through the Cosby Show. And the thing is that the fact that Bill Cosby must have known about the subconscious mind, but the other people also knew about subconscious mind. Other people in Hollywood know about it too. And
Mm.
maybe this is a way of taking symbology, of taking down the Cosby Show. I think that all of us should right now start watching the Cosby Show with our families.
Hell
From
yeah.
episode 1 all the way, I think they went to season 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
We should just watch it and just have your kids watch that show.
Oh wow.
I mean, because it is, and you know what? I even think even in today's world, the Cosby Show is the most progressive black show I think ever.
Cosby Show's better than any shit that's been made in the last 30 years.
Yeah,
There ain't nothing.
because there's no show like I think Blackish. Blackish doesn't have that symbolism in the show.
No, Blackish is not a bad show.
It's a great
But
show, but it
it
doesn't
ain't the
have
Cosby
that
Show.
symbolism
Like the
there.
Cosby Show, you could tell it was a show that was made by a highly educated group of people. Because you remember, Cosby didn't just lean on his own expertise, which was pretty
Yeah,
substantial. I mean, he did Fat Albert as part of his dissertation,
yeah.
but then also he would bring in people like Dr. Alvin Poissant
Mm-hmm.
and others from
And
Harvard.
James Comer.
James, I
James
don't know James
Comer.
Coleman. Who's that?
Yeah, James Comer was he was one of the consultants on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had these really smart black
Yes.
consultants who would help him to use the power of the platform
Mm-hmm.
to elevate HBCUs. Like HBCU enrollment went way up,
Mm-hmm.
to elevate the imagery of black people. And I remember the biggest critique that they got at that time was that they were elitist and they were uppity. And I've
Well, they
gotten that.
were.
Well, no, wait, well, that's the thing.
They
They
were,
no, no,
but
no. I don't think they would have got that same critique 20 years earlier. I think they
mm,
got that critique because they were in the crack era, and people said, "Well, wait, what do you mean? Two parents in the household they love each other and healthy children? You know, like most of us are addicted to trauma and drama.
mm-hmm,
Like they're
mm-hmm,
like, this is not realistic. Like, what do
mm-hmm,
you mean? Everybody goes to school and a doctor and a lawyer, and I mean, what is there? There's nothing stopping people from
mm-hmm.
getting education. Like you can do these things, right? But they act like that's not possible for black people, so it's unrealistic. Like I guess they felt that Good Times was more
The
realistic
good times,
because
yeah.
Good Times was every episode had trauma. Every episode,
Mm-hmm,
somebody got killed. James lost his job. Somebody
mm-hmm.
tried to rape Thelma. It's the gang members coming to beat up JJ. You know what I'm talking about. There was always
Oh,
trauma
and the
in Good
crooked
Times. The
politician was it?
bookman, well, not bookman. Yeah, the crooked politician, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Walona,
The alderman.
Walona, and Penny's mama was beating up. Remember, Penny's mama had the
Oh, with
iron.
the iron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like all this traumatic stuff was happening, and people felt like that was more realistic. Whereas Cosby Show, it's like, no, we're just a regular family, just
Yeah.
dealing with regular
Well,
stuff.
see, the Cosby Show was the #1 show. So it wasn't just black people watching it. Everybody was watching the Cosby Show.
Yes.
Everybody. So what did that do to our image and what people saw about us?
That's real. That's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that to be, no matter what people think about Bill Cosby, leave the Cosby Show alone. Like, just why can't we just enjoy the show and why can't we still? In fact, I think it's okay to dislike Bill Cosby and to love Heathcliff Huxtable and Claire, and you know what I mean. Like, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why must it all be in the same damn package?
And
Why
even A Different World, like A Different World was amazing
A Different
too.
World was awesome.
Come
I
on.
mean, just well thought out shows. They weren't just trying to make the money. I'm sure they made plenty of money, but they were trying to do something good for people. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that has to be acknowledged. And I really believe, and I'm really hoping Cosby and his team are able to follow through on what we had talked about on the when Cosby's rep came on this channel not too long ago, where he said that they would like to support independent black media. Like platforms like this, where we're going to have these
Right.
conversations. We're two black PhDs having an honest
Oh,
conversation. Right? You don't get that on mainstream media because we don't fit the political affiliation, right? We don't have the
mm-hmm.
complexion for the connection. But I think that supporting these platforms is important because if I'm Cosby, I think it's important for him to understand that this is where his legacy is going to be secured.
Mm-hmm.
This is my
Mm-hmm.
not even a critique, but this is really something I would love to say. If I ever talk to him, I'm actually going to mention this. Think about this, right? This man has given millions of dollars to Spelman. Spelman ain't going to protect his legacy.
Nope.
He's
Yeah.
given millions of dollars to Morehouse. Morehouse ain't gonna protect his legacy. He's given millions to other HBCUs. Howard. Howard show as hell ain't gonna protect his legacy. He's given millions to organizations around the country. NBC probably made $1 billion off this man. They're not gonna protect his legacy. The people that are gonna protect his legacy are people in the community like your mama and my mama and the people
Yeah.
listening in this chat right now who do believe that you can have a person who's accused of making mistakes but still acknowledge the good things they did in the world. That's where
It
Cosby's
would be
legacy will be
nice.
protected.
It would be nice to honor him in some way in his legacy. I'm just saying.
I think so. He
That might be
deserves it.
something that we might want to do
Yeah,
in
yeah,
some way.
yeah. And who cares what white people think? If they can think whatever they want. I don't think we need to be offended that they
Mm-hmm.
don't like him. And in fact, actually, anybody even in this chat who doesn't like Cosby, it's okay. But just know, like, there are those of us who believe his civil rights were violated. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter how you feel about him or what you think he might have done. There's a standard, and I want every black man to get the same legal standard that you would give a white woman.
Yeah, I mean, look at our founders. Our forefounders were slaveholders.
Oh my God.
Their legacy has been protected, and they were killing and raping black people. They killed and raped more black people than Bill Cosby's accusers.
you know,
It was
yes.
years and years of upholding a system of slavery, and
Mm,
they're on a dollar bill.
Preach,
And
black
everywhere
woman.
I go,
Preach.
stop,
Preach,
Boyce.
girl.
Everywhere I go, I'm reminded of how great our forefathers are with the 4th of July and all that other crap. Why
Wow.
can't we put him, why can't we lift him up too?
Wow, that's real. That I'm gonna drop the mic on that because you just made the most interesting comment of this discussion in my view. When you said that, I that's a very simple idea, but the gold is in the simple ideas. The gold is
Mm-hmm.
buried in the simplest ideas. And what you just said is profound. I mean, I want y'all to really process that. What you just made, I think you made a great point. Is you have plenty of people that are on the dollar bill that are
Mm-hmm.
honored in every imaginable way. We said
And they turn a blind eye.
federal holidays on their birthdays, and
Yeah.
and we know that they did lots of raping and killing. And I don't know if people don't even know George Washington actually helped pass a law that said that you can hunt down slave that once a slave escapes, you can still hunt them down for the rest of their life.
Oh gosh. You know what?
Yeah.
You can go on and on. I'm sure if Claude Anderson was here, he can go on and on. You can go on and on about stories and facts. These are
Yes,
facts.
yes, absolutely.
So
So there we go. Okay, everybody. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for joining us. We decided we want to call this segment Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, because a lot of times literally we are laying on our pillows and talking. But make no mistake about it, our goal is to share important ideas with the community, because I know I didn't meet my first black professor until I was 19 years old. So given that
oh.
we're two black professors who love the hell out of each other and love our community, I think it's important for people to hear those perspectives. So thank you guys for listening. And if you want to follow Alicia, coachingwithdralicia.com is her website. She does lots of couples therapy and stuff like that. She's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And also she's coaching with Dr. Alicia on Instagram. So feel free to look that up. And also I want to mention to you guys that we're doing we made a movie. We made a movie called Happily Ever After. Tierra KJ Williams is the director, and we're going to show this film. Our films, I know that other people put films out, and you got to pay money to watch them and stuff. Our films are free, so you can actually watch this film for free. You can just register. We're going to show it July 22nd. It's going to be a public screening, and you can go to blackmovienight.net and just register and come on in. We're gonna watch the movie's actually broken into 6 pieces, so we're gonna watch each piece, one piece per week for 6 weeks, and we're gonna bring in the couples that are featured in the film, and also Tierra KJ Williams is gonna join us to talk about the movie, and it's all about how to make black love and relationships work, which is important for our community. So
Oh wow, Tierra did that. That's great. I
yeah,
can't wait
yeah,
to watch.
she
Now
worked.
I'm interested in
Well, she
watching
worked on
this.
it for a year and a half, and I know that the Oprah Winfrey Network had expressed interest in the film, but I was really happy they didn't buy it, because it allows us to show it to the public, as opposed to because we weren't opposed to selling it. Like if they'd offered us a ridiculous amount of money, we would have taken it because we could reinvest that money and do other things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they didn't buy it, I told Tierra, I said, well, I don't want to sell this thing to anybody. Let's just share it with the community. So I hope you guys will join us. It's on July 22nd. Just go to blackmovienight.net and you can register. And we have a lot of other things happening. I'll tell you about that more a little bit later. I got to get to this meeting. My poor
Yeah,
sister,
you are late.
she's been so patient with me. So let me get the hell up out of here. So God bless you. Please hit the thumbs up button. Everybody, please hit the thumbs up button before you go. We will see you soon. Take care. Have a good day. Say goodbye.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.